What is a vibration change? Oof. Now then, it's an adjustment from one frequency to another, basically, in a nutshell. But obviously it's deeper than that. A vibration change affects us on so many levels. We're only just becoming familiar with it. So I'd like to start and say, I believe this, and this is what I've been inspired all these years. Mankind is awakening. It's awakening to its own spirituality. Nobody's got a say in it. The nature and the universe is dictating this, but I believe it's a cosmic event. So it's like the cosmos has taken a deep breath in and it's breathed back out. And as the breath of the cosmos has come out, has been exhaled, we're in its path. So we're going to be affected by these energies, if you like. I believe we're at a stage of evolution at a pinnacle point. And I think most of us know the world is undergoing great change. So if you imagine this event, that the whole of infinity as we imagine, I'm going to start somewhere and gradually come back. The whole of infinity is energy. So if we begin our basis where everything is energy, wavelengths, frequencies and vibrations, and then connect it with light, and magnetism, then we kind of we can work from that kind of foundation. And in that, at all times, are spiritual beings and celestial beings trying to guide us. Now, what I'm seeing and what I've been sensing for a long time, and forgive me if I use the I too much, because I try and remove it as much as I can, so please forgive me if I do. It's a reference point, that's all. So over the years, it's been noticed that people, as they're awakening, they're obviously learning to deal with all these different variations of vibrational activity. So we open up to spirit, or the universe or cosmos, if you like, and from that point, what happens is we tend to get hit by a wave, if you like. It's like a tree or something. The wind gets strong and it blows against us. So if we're flexible, we can move and we can handle it. If we're too rigid, if our mind is too rigid, then obviously it's going to affect us a lot more. So the universe and cosmos has kind of said, right, now's the time for mankind to awaken to all spiritual activity and their own spirituality. So what we've got is an ascension of consciousness. We've got an expansion of consciousness taking place. And from this, we're kind of getting closer towards what is called, or being known for many centuries, as enlightenment. So you could say at the moment, because we are made up of energy, particles, wavelengths, etc., we are emanations of light anyway. Because light animates us, that's why we can move. We can, move our hand and pick a kettle up, make a cup of tea, or we can walk down the street, whatever. We're animated beings, and that animation comes from the light within us and the light around us in this environment, what we exist in. What we tend to do, and what's been happening over the centuries, is we've put so much emphasis, mental and emotional emphasis, on our physical being. And in order to survive, we've grasped many things. Now we've reached a stage of materialism where we've been grasping out of instinct, survival instinct. And in order to survive in this environment we're in, i.e. the world, we tend to go, okay, I wish to have this, I wish to have that, because that's what's been promoted to us externally. So we've been fed from the external in this environment. Now this cosmic event is saying something different. It's like sweeping through us. And if I can, I'd like to give you a concept of it. As it sweeps through the universe, so you've got a cosmic event, it moves through the universe, it moves through the dimensions and planes of existence. All worlds are affected by this. We are merely standing on one of these planets amongst all that. But we are getting so affected. We are ascending to a new level or new frequencies. And as this energy sweeps through us, imagine that we haven't just got the physical body, and we haven't just got a mental capacity or an emotional capacity. we've got several bodies. We've got several subtle bodies, the astral body, the etheric body, the soul, all in one aspect at this minute. So as a wave hits us, all those other bodies are affected, okay? So imagine a wave, it hits the world, and as it moves through it, it brings about this change to everything in its path. It's a bit like a river or stream or an ocean flowing. Anything in it is going to get wet. So we're the same. This wind of change, what's blowing at the minute, is light. There's a vibration of light which is hitting us, and it's getting us to change. Now, when it moves through, if you like, the auric field, it then starts to penetrate the other bodies, okay? And as it penetrates the other bodies, obviously it hits the particles and atoms on a very subtle level, and they regenerate. They start to kind of become more active than what we're used to. And we sense them changes. We begin to think, okay, I want to open up with spirit, I want to work with spirit, I want to ascend, I want to expand. Whatever form we do, we can include any type of trance, mediumship, healing, alternative therapies. Everybody on the planet, including those what are kind of wrapped up in gross materialism, are being affected by this. The ones what are more open tend to be the ones what get affected quicker. So, in effect, this light what's penetrating us now is merging with the light of our soul inside us. And boom, there's a kind of, this is the awakening, this is a spiritual awakening on the planet. And it's this shift of human consciousness, which is around us and people are looking at and trying to understand. To understand some of this, you could say, we've got to accept the knowledge we've got at the moment. We've got to accept certain aspects, I believe. That life is infinite, that the soul has had infinite lifetimes and it will continue to do so. And if it's had infinite lifetimes, it's obviously been incarnated in this world and potentially many other worlds or planes of existence. So in those existences, what we've had, those incarnations, if you like, the soul has collected and gathered data and information, which it's brought into this world. And now this event is taking place. And I don't believe that it's just a cosmic event external to us. I think we are intricately at one with the event. We are part of it. So in effect, you could say, even though the cosmos is creating it, we are also creating it collectively. If you imagine, let's say we've got 7 billion people on the planet and we refer to them as people. If we just shift our consciousness a little bit and go, okay, we've got 7 billion souls on the planet and they are collectively awakening. Wow, what an event. As soon as we alter our perception on this, it's like, this is phenomenal stuff. And the more people awaken, the more those souls awaken and expand and ascend their consciousness, it's like a virus, it's like a positive virus. It infects people around them like it is doing with us. Merely having this conversation now or this presentation, we will communicate with other souls after this and they will be affected by some of this, like we was affected before we got here by meeting other souls. So we've got this collective event taking place. So what effect is it really having? Well, it's getting us to change our balance, our sense of balance and equilibrium. And this is where the transition, this is where the interesting bit comes in, because as we have to change, we have to make adjustments. But to understand this event and to get this change occurring in a smooth, fluid way, we need some of this information. We really do, because I'm watching people and they're open to spirit, they're working with spirit, and boom, all of a sudden, they're flat on the back and they're tired, they've lost energy, and they're wondering why it's happened. And one of the things, one of the reasons why that takes place is because we don't continuously top our tanks up. This event, or this spiritual awakening what's taking place, one of the important things is to meditate. meditation tops our tank. So it doesn't have to be a visualization. We don't have to go on a journey anywhere. Just merely by sitting still, we kind of feel rejuvenated and replenished, and then we can carry on. But this is, it's new to everybody. It's been 30, 50 years, you know, in the process. What we're seeing now is in the last 10 years, there's been a speeding up process, and 5 years, and now the last 2 years, it's really taken off. And the air conditions, what's taking place with what's going on around the world, globally, on a material level and a physical level, is kind of sending us inside so we can work this lot out. And we're in the process of becoming part detached from the external world, but also more at one with it. It's like we're trying to move the negative aspect, what we perceive as negative aspect in the world, but we want the external beauty and we want to be at peace with nature. So we've got this conflict going on. And then that conflict also takes place within us, mentally, emotionally, spiritually. So while we think about changing balance, one of the things I'm always struck by is, if you remember, change is constant. You can use that as a foundation, or put it into your foundation to go from this point on. Every day, change is constant. So we know from, if we look, when a baby is born, we can see it growing. But the baby is not really aware of it. It's not conscious that it's growing, but we watch it. It gets taller, gets bigger. Everything starts developing. And this is the same thing what's going on to us spiritually, as spiritual beings. So you could say, as we expand and open up, that change is happening every moment of every day, constantly. But we're never really conscious of it. Whereas now, we're aware that there are changes. And as we follow that kind of track, then we become aware that we're changing. And it's a beautiful thing. It's absolutely amazing. Our light is beginning to shine. Why should we not want that change? But the difficulty, if it is a difficulty, is when these vibration changes takes place. So we've got several things to be aware of. As the change takes place, it's to be at peace. That's the immediate thing, is to be at peace within us. That comes through meditation or still in the mind, giving ourselves moments of tranquility, if you like, not even thinking anything, removing the thoughts completely, or removing our mind from the thoughts. And it just means going in a bit. It's a bit like the oasis in the desert. We don't drink from that oasis. We're going to get dry and thirsty and parched. So we need that oasis. That oasis is within us. It's that light of our own consciousness, and it's internal. It's not external. So the next aspect of this is, as the change takes place, sometimes a fear can kick in, because even though we want to progress and expand and open up, we can tend to kind of put ourselves into a dilemma, because it means change means something. It means letting go of the past. And when we say letting go of the past, we kind of lump it into one whole thing. When we kind of look at the layers and details of the past, some of that means letting go of the people and friends what we've always known, because they're not awakened yet. So we tend to go, wow, hang on, I'm changing, but they're not. What am I going to do about this? And there's a slight conflict. The friends what people used to have don't associate with somebody what's constantly changing and encountered this spiritual awakening what's taking place. So there's aspects happening on all levels, family, friends, loved ones. We've still got to link and be a part of them, but we've changed. So that's difficult, or it can be difficult for some minds to get used to do it, until eventually you tend to pull away and think, okay, there's an awakening taking place. I'm changing constantly. I'm not stopping it. It's part of the universe. The cosmos is dictating all this. I've got to go with it. I'm going to go with my intuitive thought, and I'm off. And then there's a bit of conflict, because the family and friends and loved ones, what we know, what are here on the air, tend to look at us like we've got 3 heads, you know, and because they're kind of expanded. Now, just on this note, if it's any help, part of this change, another aspect or facet of this change, means that we're moving from a 3-dimensional understanding of consciousness to a fourth and fifth and beyond dimensional understanding. Now, the third dimension understanding kind of contains this. It's not a closed mind completely, obviously, but a third dimensional mind, if you like, the sleepers of the world. They're still asleep, they're not awake. That's the only difference. Whereas the fourth dimensional mind is up and running, it's open, and it wants to move and progress smoothly. But obviously, this is where the vibration change of this lot comes into play, because as we want to progress and move forward, we constantly feel the effects. We're sensitive. We become more sensitive to energies, more sensitive to people and comments and the world and what's happening. We're sensitive to hurt and pain around us and globally. So this change is having quite a big effect on us. Now, studying over the years, and this is just been my pathway with spirit. Over the years, I became aware of how waves seem to come in and hit the world and the air and then travel through us, and we get these effects. We sense the effects of these waves. Now, many years ago, these waves used to come in, and it could be every 3 to 6 months, maybe even longer. It depends on the size of the wave. So imagine, I might even draw it actually, if that's okay, just to explain it. So if you imagine, we've got the universe and cosmos here. There's the cosmos. And it's sending waves out. And there's the Earth, for argument's sake. Okay? Can you all, yeah, you should be able to see that. So there's the Earth, the world, what we live on. And there we are, standing on it. And these waves come floating through and pass through. So every so often, these used to be large waves at one point. And I believe this brought a big spiritual awakening around several years ago. I also believe there's been several big waves, cosmic waves, past the air and go through us and our bodies and affected us and keep constantly taking us up. So you can imagine you've got a huge wave like this, and then you can have smaller ones like this, or the ones in between. So there's all these variations of wavelengths, if you like. It's energy, it's light, moving across the cosmos, moving through our body, moving through the world and through our body. So then, with flexibility, we can bend. But the details of this cosmic event is saying to us, there's a specific spiritual reason for this. We're moving from the old Neanderthal way of thinking from centuries and centuries, thousands of years ago, through the Middle Ages, through the Victorian times. And if you actually notice and look at those time periods, you can see how we've evolved. We've gone from our basic instinct understanding, instinctive vibration and instinctive behavior. Now we're moving up through what's called the chakras until we get to this kind of part of the body, from the heart to the crown, and this is where intuition is kicking in. And we're beginning to clear the old stuff, what we would call, or can be called, the lower vibrations of the lower chakras. Okay. Now, some people believe we no longer need those lower chakras, and in the future we won't need them. I believe that we need all chakras because they're there for a reason, obviously. But I think there's a purification in all of this. One of the biggest problems what takes place here is letting go. We need to let go. As the wave comes in, we need to let go of the past and many, many things what we're holding on to. So you imagine you've been hit by a wave. It's ripened and come to the surface. Your mind is slightly, skew with and dizzy and all sorts of energies, like what's going on. And then it's like, wow, hang on, I no longer need that. I no longer want some of this stuff. I want to let go. So the letting go process is a key player in this. There's several things which are key players. Because we've got to adjust. We've got to adjust and align ourselves to this light, what's happening, alignment to light. And as we make this adjustment, we've got the opportunity to clear and be free of so many things from the past, from this past the lifetime we're having at the minute, and our previous lifetimes and incarnations which we didn't clear. So we can really clear and get the soul shining. We basically want a purification process. But it's up to each individual to deal with it as they wish, obviously, because that's free will. There's a scientific aspect what plays a role here, because when we talk about energy, we're talking about particles, atoms, molecules on a very subtle level. But to understand this event, you kind of got to look, or it's kind of interesting if you do look at this scientific aspect in a small way, because science and spirit are collectively together. We can't avoid it. And the more we communicate with spirit, the more we realize it's to do with energies, and we realize it's to do with energies, and we know science and spirit are kind of merging as one. Science may have gone running off in a certain direction, which a lot of us are not comfortable with. Like, let's say, the internet, it's got its pros and cons. But if we look at it neutrally and we use it for this benefit, like we are doing today, then it's open. So everything seems to have its pros and cons at the minute. So the letting go process is a big thing during a vibration change. So I'm just going to kind of drop down or drop to a different frequency just for a moment, because I'd like to go through some of the lists of some of the signs what to look for when a vibration change comes in. So imagine a wave comes in. It used to be every 3, 6, 9 months, and then over the years they've got more frequent and more regular. It's like a tide coming in, and the tide is nearly in, to be honest. That's what it fits. So it's gone from 3, 6, 9, and now we're kind of being affected almost daily by these cosmic waves, which is giving us these vibration changes quite more frequent. Now, a vibration change in its simple form, as we just kind of sorted, is a wave comes in, and as it passes through us, we change. So let's say it's coming in a certain direction, for argument's sake, just for a generalized purpose. So the wave comes in, it hits us, it penetrates our auric field, it moves through it and all the other bodies, and then it hits us physically, mentally, emotionally, and then it passes through. So during that exact precise time when it's hit us, when it's entered our auric field, then we really feel the effects of it. These effects can then last for anywhere from 1, 2 days up to 6 weeks. What I'm seeing recently is they're kind of lasting 4 to 6 days, if it's of a specific wave, okay? And what's the effects of it? Okay, so the effects are, on a positive level, no, so I'm going to reverse it. On a negative level, we become emotionally unbalanced. We feel quite emotional for no reason whatsoever. Some people want to just break down in tears, and they're like, I don't know why I want to cry, but I just want to cry. It's just coming out of the blue. We can be extra sensitive to people around us, what we have known all our lives, and we know they speak in a certain way and they have a certain character and nature to them. Yet we accept that, but when we're on a vibration change, we can be irritated and agitated by that. All of a sudden, we don't know why. Like, wow, that's it. You kind of irritated, I've got to get away from you for 5 minutes, sort of thing. That's a sign of a vibration change. Our energy levels drop, and we feel lethargic, we feel fatigued, tired, we want to just rest and sleep. It's like everything drops. It's almost like we dip when a vibration changes. And there's a specific reason for that, which I'll show in a minute. So we get these signs. Also, our diet, our normal food intake, if you like, our favorite things we like to eat on a regular basis, all of a sudden we no longer have the taste buds for them. We go, I don't fancy that. Yeah, I don't fancy that. And we start looking at our diet and all the variations. Now, if you look at it globally, if you connect it to the global event also, this is why there's a shift towards vegetarianism and veganism. because it's been this event is affecting everybody globally. The size of meals have changed in the last 10, 20, 30 years, where some people would sit and just pile this huge plate of food up and just, you know, get it in. No, everything's kind of getting smaller and smaller because the light is dictating to us. We don't need that full intake of food any longer. That served its purpose, like everything else in the past. So we experience a diet change. Our taste buds get altered. And they can last. That can last 2, 3, 4 days before we go, oh, I fancy one. I'll have another one again. Whatever that product is, if you like. We tend to get irritated for no reason and agitated within ourselves. We can get annoyed with ourselves. The clarity of our mind kind of shrinks, and we don't think clearly during a vibration change. In this process of not being able to think clearly, we think there's something wrong with us. We go, wow, what's happening? Am I ill? There's something going on. You're not ill. Completely, you are not ill. Nobody is ill when a vibration change. What it's doing is altering us. But that, for a lot of people, thinks that there's something wrong with them. I'm feeling this, I'm feeling that. But when they ride this wave, they come out the opposite side and it changes. And things then become different. So we also feel when there's a dip, if you like, other aspects are we become anxious and more stressed. We feel more vulnerable. We don't have so much confidence. That lack of clarity stops us being confident. We also lose motivation to get up in the morning, to do things. I can't be bothered today. Because we haven't got that spark, that kind of that energy, that vibrant, beautiful energy. One other thing which is most important is when we're on a dip, on a vibration change, a lot of people can think that they can no longer connect with spirit. Or they think, well, where's spirit? I can't sense them at the minute. They've left me. No, it's not the case. It's not the case. They haven't left us. It's because we've gone into a place, we've literally gone into the dip here. We've gone into this point here. Our mind, let's say, is normally here. I hope you can all see this. So let's say that's the sense of equilibrium, what we have between the high and the low of a wave. So what happens, our mind drops down. And as it drops down, it gets closed. It's as simple as that. Nothing else. It's as simple as that. So all these negative aspects of feeling lethargic and tired and vulnerable and weak and emotional and oversensitive to other people, take a breath and just know that a wave is in and it's hit you. It's hit you. It's moved through your auric field. It's moved through your mental, emotional, physical, your soul, your astral body, all them bodies. It's moved through. It's kind of penetrated all your energies, and it's got hold of the light of your consciousness and it's dipped it down. That's all it's done, and that's kind of like the negative aspect, or a small list of some of the negative aspects of a vibration change. And this is what's happened. The mind, instead of being there, has gone down there. So you could say, in one respect, it's come over the hill. So where's its next? What's its next route? It's clear. We get back up, and then what we tend to do, and this is the crazy bit, what we tend to do is, as we're coming out of vibration change, we go on a high. And on that high is clarity of consciousness. The expansion of the soul is greater. We feel more inspired. We feel alive. Our psychic awareness is like, gets really refined. We know we start ascending our mind. We feel rejuvenated and refreshed. and re-energize. We don't want any sleep. We can go on forever. We get excited and start dancing, you know, and the mind gets overexcited. Even to the point physically we feel like strong because we've had like a boost, and that's because we've gone on the high part of the peak of a wave. So there's your negatives and there's your positives, and there's your answer to it. It's very simple. There's nothing wrong with you or anybody else what encounters this during a spiritual awakening, during the journey and pathway working with spirit and cosmic beings. Like millions, hundreds of millions of people are doing that at the minute. There is nothing wrong. There's something right, something wonderfully, wonderfully right about it. We're waking up. We're waking up so we can fulfill our destiny in this world, in this dimension, in this realm. That's what's going on. There's nothing wrong with being there. The issue when we go there is that fear and doubt and everything else creeps in. The key is here, this level. This is our sense, this is our lane here, our level of vibration. This is a wave itself. That's our wave of equilibrium. And that's where we can give ourselves stillness. If we give ourselves stillness, something magical takes place. When the wave comes and the mind dips, if we're still and composed and calm, then we're less affected down there. We can still go down there, we can even go lower, or we might not have to go so far down, but it's irrelevant. If we still our consciousness and enter the stillness within, we can maintain this sense of equilibrium, and we can handle this a lot better. We're less affected. We're more aware when a wave comes in. The key is to try and be aware, to be open to the universe, open to spirit, let spirit guide us, and those cosmic beings guide us and inspire us. And they will warn us, they will give us the signs before one comes, before we're going to get hit by one. Now, these are dangerous things. Their inherent energy is not danger, obviously. But to some minds, when they get hit by one of these, it can take the mind out of the game. It can blow them. It can be on the back. It can flatten them. Literally like something what's not flexible out there in the world. A strong wind hits it and it will flatten it. For the likes of us, what's working with spirit, if we're aware of this list of what to look for, we can be like that. That's the one. Flexibility. And it means we can still be standing. So your vibration change is kind of, it's probably in the top 10 pieces of information what anybody what's encountering a spiritual awakening I can't say should, they would benefit by having this kind of information, by having the information of what a vibration change is. Because you can detect the signs a lot sooner before you sink too far and go, I don't know what's happening to me. Okay? Now, I'm just going to pause. Has anybody got any questions they'd like to ask at this point?
I just wanted to ask, you mentioned something about past lives earlier.
Yeah.
Are you going to go into more depth on that later? Anyway.
We can. Yeah.
No. Yeah. I can't remember exactly what you said, but that really piqued my interest.
Yeah. Okay, we can. Anybody else got any questions they'd like to ask? Just unmute yourself if you wish. Stunned silence. I love this part, and I've got to confess, I'll tell you why I like it. Because we don't learn anything. Life is not about learning. I know there's this list where they go, oh, we're learning this and we have to do this. And no, we don't. Sorry. I'm not actually sorry. We know it. When something like this is reflected to somebody else, You guys, I am sure, know this. You can feel it and sense it inside you. So you're not learning it. I'm not learning it. Nobody's learning anybody. All we're doing is reflecting the knowing and the information and knowledge, what we already have as cosmic beings. As soon as we talk about learning, it can be diminishing to somebody. By being diminishing in that respect, we are being oppressive to them. We are being dictatorial to them on a very subtle level. This is why, for me, I'm very strong on equanimity. Every one of us here today has brought fantastic, phenomenal knowledge with us from the experiences of the cosmos throughout time. We just happen to have these different looking bodies, and then you've got this energy standing, reflecting this. That's the beauty of who we are. We're a multifaceted crystal or diamond. And what we do, this air kind of cuts and polishes to make our crystal and diamond look more beautiful, more spectacular, shiny, bright. That's what it does. By the experiences, what we encounter. The soul just wants the experiences. So vibration change, because I tend to go off sometimes. So a vibration change is as simple as what we've just said. They're the signs. We as soon as you can see or spot them, and if you're open to spirit, if you're more open and your consciousness is expanded, and to any variations or degrees, you're going to take a battering by these waves. You're going to feel like dying sometimes. Because if you are that open to nature, this is what's going to get in as easy as anything. This is not disrespectful to people who are asleep in the world at the minute, but they're extremely fortunate on one level because they're not affected as much as what people who are open are. This is a new game where they kind of dance into new frequencies, where some people are still asleep. It's nice and cozy, they're in a dream state, it's lovely, they're not really affected by these cosmic waves. They are, but not to the point and not to the frequency as what people who are awake affected by. The key is to take responsibility of the information what we have. That's the thing. It's like, okay, I have got this. As an instance, how many people have received a spiritual message from a spiritual guide through medium or psychic or reading or somebody, and the spirits give the information and said, okay, there's this, you can do this. How much of that information do we really take on board? And then how much do we analyze? And then how much, and most importantly, do we actually put it into action? You know, if we're real responsible beings, we'll dissect everything. We'll try and have a clear mind as possible, and we'll try and move with action, with that inspiration, what Spirit guided us with. We've got this multitude of energy moving on the world at the minute. All these waves and frequencies changing and altering everything. It's like this fantastic cosmic dance. It's astounding. I absolutely love it. I love sensing it, I love perceiving it. It's almost like I can smell it sometimes. Yeah. And I'm sure so many other hundreds and hundreds of thousands are doing the same. You know? So this energy, this is where it plays out. Our consciousness goes into a dip during a vibration change, and then it comes onto a high. If we want to handle the dip better, then give ourselves stillness. If we want to stop ourselves getting overexcited and making rash decisions, impetuous decisions, because once we go on a high, we become impetuous. Like it's like a child that's excited on additives. You know, it's like it sparks up. And inevitably it'll do something where you could say it's not supposed to do. And we can do the same. We can say something or act in the same way. If we're too high, if we're too low, we ain't got the clarity to make a clear decision. If you've got something going on in your life and you need to make an important decision at something, please don't do it while you're on a dip. Because you won't have a clear consciousness. At least wait till the wave passes. Just go into neutral, press the neutral button and go, right, okay, I know I've got to make this decision. I'm not making it at the minute because I ain't got the clarity. I can't see the full picture. When I come up a bit and expand a bit more, I will have that bit of clarity. It might just mean waiting 24 hours before you make a decision. It might mean waiting 6 weeks. The thing with these, try and bear in mind that when a wave is in and you are on, look, this energy is not familiar with them. I just refer to them as VCs. Yeah, there's a VC in. So it obviously vibration change. Please be ready for them. And what it does is if you're ready for when this hits, you can still get to more people, you can still do healing, you can still do messages. It don't block you. It don't go, oh, I'm not feeling too well, I'm not going to the circle tonight. Oh, I can't do healing today, I'm not feeling too good. It's like, why aren't you feeling too good? Well, my energy's low. Why is it low? Oh, you know, there's a wave in it, it's a vibration change. Well, okay, I give yourself stillness. Because stillness replenishes us. It's like petrol in the tank. Boom, off we go again, constantly. It's a bit like, you could say, put a surfboard on your feet and ride the waves. Because now the cosmic event, this global shift in human consciousness, we desperately need to rely on each other in spirit. We've seen the chaos what's out there. This event is bringing this to the surface. Everything what's going on out that externally out in the world is as a result of this breath of the cosmos. We can blame, you know, the politicians, the governments, and all the rest of whoever, you know, externally. You know, you can blame your husband, no, your wife, or your son, no, you blame anyway. It's a cosmic event. It's like, okay, I'm just going to be still, relatively, however much you can be. I'm going to take that little bit more time to meditate or do it more regular. 5 minutes. Do it. 5 minutes, 5 hours, you choose. And then the perception and understanding and patience, but most importantly, the acceptance of global events is a lot stronger and more powerful within us. It's like, well, that's happening over there. It's like, if it's okay, we can deal with it. Because the light's turned up and there's lots of us. When people say, what can I do? Turn your light up. Get in tune with these waves and vibrations of the cosmos and turn your light up. Let go of the past. Leave the future because it's coming and they're going to do its own thing. Focus on the presence, the present and your presence in this moment. And just be that light. Be the love. And people say, I'll send you some love. He's like, no, don't send anybody love. Be it as powerful as you can, and then it will automatically reach somebody. And it'll be more powerful when it reaches them. Because we tend to do this external. We turn this up and emanate. Spirit can come in and go, okay, we'll take some of that. That's needed. We're going to put it over there. There's so many variations what's playing out. So, anyway, in a nutshell, that's the first part of a vibration change, in a nutshell, and the pros and cons to it, okay? So, if you ask yourselves from this point on, right, and analyze it and go, okay, when did I last feel low? When did I last feel sensitive? When did I last feel agitated? Some of you might even say, now, right now, in the mirror, your voice is agitating, you know, which would be a good thing because it means you're on a vibration change. It means you're changing, so that's okay. Yeah, and it's your sensitivity, but you'll get over it. And I have the same. Some people's voice at a certain moment aggravates and grates on me, so I just get out of the way because I understand it. So it's like, okay, go and move, and it's better to deal with it. But when you analyze your, I mean, you don't have to go back in class. You can go back, say, you know, a few weeks or a few months and look at it and go, oh, hang on, I remember that part. I was feeling this, okay. That list is relevant, okay. And yeah, it lasted 2, 3, 4, 5 days, and then I come out of it, and I felt better when I come out of it. And once you kind of analyze that aspect in the last few weeks or the last few months, and then bring it into the front of you, you're more prepared when the next wave hits. I can honestly say to you this. One of these waves hit the earth about 2 days ago, funny enough, and it got more intense yesterday. Okay, and so for 2 days I've gone into a kind of neutral zone building up to this. Previously I had the view that I was going to prepare on a certain level for this event for today, and the last 2 days a wave had entered. Okay, and I kind of caught it quite quick, thankfully. Or I mean, the I again, I didn't, this energy did, whatever we call our energy. This energy sensed this wave coming in. So the instinct, my instincts into intuition automatically kicked into place, and I just went still for the last day and a half and allowed it to happen. I didn't really do a lot. I did a little bit yesterday, but I didn't really move. I didn't do too much because I thought there's no way I can receive this vibration. And when we do that, when we sense it, you tend to go calm, you go into neutral, and you're more at peace. And then what you've still got to achieve, you can still achieve. It's amazing. So this wave, what's in at the moment, possibly, it'll probably be gone by Tuesday, Wednesday, or Thursday, or something like that. But I can guarantee you, as that one came in 2 days ago, there would have been another one in yesterday and another one in today. And they all vary in frequency and power and strength and the effect they have on us. At the minute, this is a mild one. It's when we get the big ones. Really, did you want to ask something? Oh, sorry, I had a bit of noise on this end. Maybe the spirit trying to talk back. So your vibration changes are constant. So change is constant, vibration change is constant. You can place them out over a period of time, but the idea is to go, right, self-analysis, I need to analyze, I need to be aware, I need to be more mindful of the environment, not of people, but of energies, of spiritual and universal and cosmic energy, and breathe it. If you breathe it in, you'll feel elevated. You'll feel the past fall away from you. It's just like, I'm rejuvenated. If you need to go hide in a hole when you get it too big, then it's wise to do that. Just get yourself out of the way, lock yourself in the room for 3 days. And it's like, no, I don't want nobody near me. Don't even talk to me. Get off me. Do you understand? Handle it whichever way you can. But try to be at peace. Yeah. Equilibrium. Okay. So what we've got in effect is a journey towards enlightenment, full-blown enlightenment. And on this journey, on this pathway, we're going to be hitting lots of wavelengths and frequencies and vibrations of light. We're turning our light on. So, and we've got to leave the past behind. We've got to move from the third dimensional understanding to the fourth and beyond. So it's kind of like we need to trip on these waves. Once we get onto a peak here, like this, of a wave, it's a lot easier to get to the next one because we're already going with the flow. We're building momentum up. So as we encounter these vibration changes, while sweeping across the universe, then we're literally putting surfboard on our feet. For those who are working with spirit, literally in action with spirit, you'll know some of this stuff. It's like we'll be able to fly over the waves, or we'll harmonize and merge with them. But this is all about preparation now. The sign is there. There's a big sign saying, guys, prepare yourself. And as we go through these changes, one of the important things is is to protect our mind. We need to protect our mind. We need to protect our mind from the external, and we need to protect our mind from the stuff what we're carrying within us. Okay, and I'm just going to lead a little bit into the past life stuff. So imagine we've had, let's say, 20, 50, 100 past lives. Okay, and we've constantly been at one with the universe and cosmos. Imagine the bodies. If we've got 7 bodies, and you can probably see that, I think. Yeah, there's 7 bodies. Okay, here we are in the middle, the physical being. Then we've got the mental, emotional, spiritual, astral, etheric, the auric, and the soul body. 7 of them, minimum. Okay, and we've got 7 chakras. Now, all of this as a whole gets affected by all of this. Linking it with past life conditions, okay, we've encountered on past lives, we've obviously gone through a process where we need the soul, the food of the soul is experience. Like the body needs plants and whatever we eat, the soul needs experiences. So we put ourselves through these experiences, or the soul puts itself through many experiences, many past life experiences. This here, imagine if this is filled with consciousness of you, and everything about you. It's got the imprints to your entire existence. I don't know whether most of you heard about the Akashic Records. The Akashic Records is, just very briefly, the Akashic Records is a realm or dimension of space, or in space, where all the thoughts, all the speech, and all the action of every soul from the past, in the present, and in the future is stored, is recorded and stored. It's a realm so mysterious that your average mind has got no chance of getting in it. It can only be accessed with a soul confirmation of higher spiritual beings. So if somebody wanted to go into the Akashic Records, first we've got to prepare ourselves, then we've got to ask permission from spiritual beings on the higher planes, and we're not talking just the average spiritual guide, without calling them average. We're talking like the big guys in spirit. The ones what can say yes and no in an instant, intuitively, and that decision is final. There's no debate. If for some reason you was allowed to have a glimpse into the Akashic Records, you would be taken with a spiritual guide, one or more, presumably more, and there'll be a strict kind of route in there, and specifically to the piece of information what you would wish, or what your soul, your consciousness would wish to perceive. Because in that space is that incomprehensible information of all souls. So we can only just grasp the kind of small aspect of privacy in our mind. Imagine that on a cosmic scale. We would have to be so pure-minded to even glimpse some of it. Okay. But in there is all the past life records. So say you wanted as a person, as an individual soul, in this incarnate form, you wanted to check your incarnations, your previous and past incarnations. Probably 97% of people on the planet at the minute, with their state of mind at the minute, would have no chance getting into anywhere near them sort of realms, because we've got, our minds are contaminated with ego and selfishness and negativity. They're still contaminated. The soul is not contaminated, but this periphery, what we exist with each day, is contaminated. I'm going to chuck something in. Even mediumship of today, the bulk of mediumship today is contaminated clairvoyance, because we step in a message. We're not completely out of the way of the message. We're a pure, clear channel, 100%. Few people can do it. Most of us, no, we contaminate this clairvoyance, what we call, whatever we want to say, clairvoyance, clairaudience, clairsentience. You know, so it's contaminated clairvoyance, and it kind of, and I'm only using that as a kind of reflection, because it shows us that we've still got a lot of stuff to clear. So when we wish to see our past lives and previous lives along that stream of consciousness which we've encountered, and all those experiences, we've got to go into a certain space within ourselves, specifically with spiritual guides, and let them take us. It means us letting go of the control of our own consciousness, handing ourselves over to Spirit, and Spirit will take us on that journey. The interesting part now is we're getting glimpses, because some souls on the planet have purified so much stuff from their past lives in their previous lives. They've come into this realm now with a relatively clear mind. So some of them are starting to get glimpses of past life conditions and circumstances and who there was. But obviously, not everybody. In the future, as this cosmic event carries on and we're cleared and cleansed totally, we will move to a new frequency or vibration of reality and existence here in this world, I believe. And that new reality will be one, we're turning, it's like we're transmutating. We chose to transmutate from this physical reality we understand in the physical body and the attachment to it. As we open up and expand, we're moving towards the etheric realms. We're beginning to sense that we are ethereal beings. We've always been spiritual beings, and we've always been spiritual. And the knowledge of spirit has always been infinite. Now we're beginning to realize, or take the first steps, if you like, towards becoming ethereal beings. And when we become ethereal beings, the shackles and density of the physical body will start falling, well, they are falling, will fall away more and more until we become light beings properly, or of a certain frequency or nature. So these, rather than being a bad thing, obviously are part of the plan, the part of the cosmic evolution. We've evolved. And as we become more ethereal, and we tune in to that brighter light, if you like, and we get closer to that brighter light within us and around us, then the past life conditions will start revealing themselves. We will see them intuitively, and we'll be able to step into them realms slowly, 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 until eventually there's a possibility that at some point in the future, whether it's this lifetime or in future lifetimes, we will be able to have full access and be aware constantly at all times of all our previous incarnations. Which is a phenomenally remarkable statement, because if the soul has been around for infinity, how are we going to comprehend in one moment all our previous lifetimes in infinity? But we're kind of inching towards something of that nature, and that's the beauty of it. So, but we need these vibration changes constantly, because they rejuvenate, they're getting us to readjust and realign our energies, getting us to offload the stuff and garbage and hate and pain. We're no longer kind of one clinging to us. We're loosening the shackles. So the vibration changes, these constant ones, and this is probably why they are constant. Now, as we become more in the present consciously, we tend to leave the past. We can prepare better for a better future in the present. So, and unquestionably, undoubtedly, every soul has picked this journey at this minute. The soul is light. It may have layers of darkness and negativity around it, but the soul, the essence of the soul, is light. So, and it's starting to shine. It's like, okay, radiate, radiate. And it's all due to the effect of this cosmic event, which is creating these vibration changes. You could, without question, say a vibration change is an intricate part of this cosmic spiritual awakening. and this shift of human consciousness was taking place. We can't have change without having change. We just can't encounter it. We've got to change. And this is what these frequencies and wavelengths are doing. And this is why it results in a constant vibration change. Engaging what size the wave is and how turbulent it may be, or how small and comfortable we can manage it. There's all these different, if you imagine the electromagnetic spectrum with all these 7 wavelengths and frequencies of the colours, the array, there's just 7 frequencies, there's 7 waves, and they're all moving at a different pace, a different ratio. So some are soft and smooth, some are quite intense and bang, they can send us fire. So the idea, and where balance is concerned, you could say we need to maintain our balance. Personally, I don't think balance exists, because if change is constant, the only thing out of that can be a sense of equilibrium, which gives us that little equilibrium, gives us that little space to keep moving constantly, to keep adjusting. I'm in equilibrium. There's still that slightest movement. As soon as you say I'm in balance, it sounds nice, but it's also rigid. There's a rigidity to that word. What says, well, I'm in balance. Is that, well, are you moving? Are you changing? No, I'm just nice. I'm in balance. But if you found the equilibrium, you're leaving that door open for that constant change to get in, and we evolve and ascend and expand. Consciousness is infinite. It's got to expand. It's got to keep moving. It's got to be in action. So we can say the vibration changes, what's happening in this world now, are in perfect harmony with the cosmic event. The cosmic event is causing it, and the vibration change is an integral part of the cosmic event itself. So there's that kind of harmony between them both.